You're listening to That Home Loan Hub. I'm Zebenisa here to make home loans and property investing simple, smart and stress-free. Let's get you closer to your property dreams. Hello and welcome back to That Home Loan Hub. I am joined back by James Buchanan. Hello, James.
Morning, Zebenisa.
We are in an episode of James Shares and you had some fun this week. You, our resident nerd, you attended a webinar.
I did, and I really enjoyed it.
What was that about?
Very sad. It was a economist webinar from the ANZ Bank. But look, he did a really good job, and they just did a very thorough, gave us some very thorough insights on how the property market is going and how the New Zealand economy is going.
Ooh.
So what I did for the team is I took one for the team, but I actually enjoyed it. So I went along and I just took a few notes and sent it out to the team, and I think it's worth sharing with our listeners.
Yeah.
Because some really interesting things come out of it.
Okay, let's hit it.
Okay, well the main thing, and just remember this is ANZ's perspective, so the other banks have slightly different perspectives, but it sort of resonated with me what they were saying quite a bit, and basically things are really slow. And most of us probably already know that, but sort of early part of the year, it looked like things were going to be ticking up with some GDP growth quarter to quarter. But actually it's really buttoned off a wee bit, and we might still be contracting, getting lower growth over in the next couple of quarters. So he thinks that there will be at least 3 more OCR cuts by the Reserve Bank, 3 more interest rate cuts in August, November and February, which would bring the OCR down to 2.5. That's really cool for us in the property market or buyers because it should have an impact on fixed term interest rates if you're looking to lock in those interest rates. So that's quite interesting.
Interesting, because a lot of people were expecting that something will happen in the July OCR. But then there were mixed reviews of it may happen, it might not happen, because the inflation was still going hard. So they didn't cut the OCR in July.
Yeah, well, so the reason that these guys understood behind that was to do with council fees. There's certain things in the economy that are not in having inflation anymore, but there are things that are, such as council fees, like your rates and your power bill and stuff like that. And what ANZ is saying, no matter how much they increase the OCR, it's not going to change council rates. So, changing the OCR can't have any impact on what the council rates or the power bills are going to be and all that sort of stuff. It's not going to curb spending. So they're saying, why don't you just carry on and forget about that side of inflation because we can't do anything about it. Let's worry about the other side, and the economy's not doing very well, so let's encourage spending by lowering the rate.
Yeah, help them out a little bit. Absolutely. I think this is what we're seeing, isn't it? The living cost is going up.
Yeah.
And if people can't afford to pay for the mortgage and they can't afford to pay for the bills and stuff like that, then that's going to depress the first home buyers, for instance, going, my friends are struggling and they've got a home. Do I really want to buy a house?
Yeah. Well, I think what I'd like to encourage people to do, because there's a lot of people with the money, we're seeing these clients come in and they've got the money, they've got pretty good deposit from KiwiSaver, but they're holding back just because of what's going on, of the uncertainty in the economy. But in reality, it's if you're in a good spot, it's a great time to be at least talking to us about getting a mortgage, so we can get your affairs in order, so that when you are ready, you're good to go.
Yeah, and what we've seen recently, right? We've got a bottleneck at the moment where we've got so many clients sitting there pre-approved, ready to go, but only a small amount of clients are dribbling through.
Yeah.
And the ones that are going ahead are the ones that are sick of paying rent.
Yeah.
Really. And they're sick of uncertainty. They're sick of being told by the landlord things of they can do and they can't do and all the inspections. And they're sick of moving because, a lot of landlords are struggling, for instance, to pay the mortgages, and they are selling the properties. So every time they sell a property, then those people have to move. And I think, as you say, if you are in that good position, at least talk to us, get on the ladder.
Yeah, and even we're seeing people with, credit issues come and talk to us, but they really need to be talking to us sooner rather than later so that we can advise them on what they need to do to sort out their credit problems. There's no point coming to us in, say, 6 months' time when the market's going gangbusters and it's going to take you 6 months to a year to get your finances sorted out. We need to, you need to talk to somebody earlier so we can help you, so we can get you on the right track. That's what I would like to see. And we're seeing a lot of people get in touch with us, but we're not what I am, but not necessarily following through. Maybe it looks too hard, but
cold feet.
Yeah, and we're not scary people, are we? I'm a little bit worried as my answering machine message. So I've changed that in case I sounded like a bit of a weirdo or something.
I love you, James. This is so funny. James, back to the ANZ review of the economy. What else did they say that's of value?
Basically, I think what came out is that it's the property market is going to be weak for the rest of the year. Okay. We're not going to be seeing any significant changes to property prices this year, perhaps early part of next year. You might see things move a little.
Yeah.
The other thing that sort of came out, so the market's not going to change much. That's from their perspective. The other thing that came out about it, and I think this is useful for everybody to know and for us to understand, is that even though inflation is reducing, it still doesn't mean that prices aren't rising. It still means that prices are 30% more than what they were 5% 5 years ago, if that makes sense. So what you could say is that inflation today is high, but it is reducing at a slower rate, if you know what I mean. So I've still got to pay $400 a week groceries. Even though inflation has come down, I'm still paying $400 a week groceries. It's never going back to $200 a week groceries that it was 4 or 5 years ago. So even though inflation's coming down, we've still got those high prices that we have to, and maybe incomes are not matching that.
Yeah, interesting. I saw, step aside from the ANZ one, I saw an interesting post from National. They put it on their page about how the rent is down in Wellington and how they were very happy about how their policy changes made this great change, and the rents are lowest that they've been since, and they put a really interesting year on it. I think it was like, I don't want to lie about it, but it was 2012 or 2020, something like that. So the rents were historically low, But it's interesting because the comments underneath that post were about people that they're losing their jobs, they're moving out of Wellington, and this is why we are seeing the drop in rents, because people don't have tenants, and therefore the landlords are dropping the prices. Because that was another thing that you mentioned from that ANZ economy update, that a lot of net migration and people are leaving. Right, people are leaving New Zealand.
Yeah, so that's a big drawback, is that we're losing a lot of skilled workers in terms of our whole economy. But in terms of the property market, immigration numbers are nowhere near as high as what they used to be. We used to have pre-COVID, I think we were doing really well. So that's not quite the same as what it was. And the other thing is, I think we've got to be a little bit thankful of what's going on in the agricultural industry, because that's sort of supporting the economy a lot at the moment with very high commodity prices. So we're lucky that that's doing well. If that was, because that's a significant part of our economy. If that wasn't doing very well, we'd probably be in a bit of trouble, because we don't have the tourism that we used to have either. So we're losing out on quite a bit of stuff, and low immigration. So
on the other side, though, it's interesting, because I know New Zealanders want to, they think that the grass is always greener in Australia, for instance, and go to Australia. On the other side, I am getting a lot of messages from people in America wanting to leave America to come to New Zealand because they see New Zealand as a bit of a green heaven for them.
Yeah.
Where, we've got relatively low crime rates, especially compared to America. We've got good education. We speak English.
Yeah.
So I'm getting contacted by a lot of expats in America wanting to come to New Zealand.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've got to remember as well. We're always comparing ourselves to Australia. Australia is actually a really wealthy country, if you compare it to other countries around the world. So to be comparing ourselves with Australia all the time, it's not so useful. But yeah, we attract a lot of people. New Zealand is still a cool place to live. It's very stable. You can still pretty much do a lot of things.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing as well, it's an interesting situation, right? Because we've got this first-time buyers that I think it's a fantastic opportunity for them to buy now. And what I try to show them is the vision ahead. So, for instance, if they buy now, and even if they want to go away and work in Australia, work in Singapore, whatever, buy a house, live in it for 6 months to 12 months. If you're still struggling with the jobs in New Zealand, go away, go work somewhere else. Leave your house as a rental. You can still get the rent because more people are still coming back to New Zealand. Leave your house as a rental. And even if you come back in 5 to 10 years to even to 20 years, you've got this asset that will continue to go up in value. Versus if you leave it, and again, this is something I've seen happen. I am dealing with some New Zealanders that are in their 50s and 60s that have left New Zealand 40 years ago, for instance. Didn't buy a property then. Now they come back after having a great time overseas, great salaries. Now they come back because New Zealanders always come back to New Zealand. It's amazing. They do a bit of a ticket tour across the world and then they come back. So they come back and now they go, oh crap, I should have bought this property when it was like 100K versus now 1 million. So, if you put these things in perspective, always think of a bigger, longer picture. I think property is never a short-term solution. It's a long-term goal. So,
and if you're earning that foreign exchange money, often it's quite easy just to top up your mortgage back here if the rent's not quite covering it. I have actually a few clients. One of them is in Hong Kong and she's a teacher, in a private school. She worked here in Wellington, got a contract in Hong Kong, got a few properties here. And even if she has to support these properties here in New Zealand, because in Hong Kong it's so much cheaper for her, there's no tax. I think it's zero tax in Hong Kong. So she's able to earn more money to support her properties in New Zealand while also still getting ahead in life and, ticking off her boxes for traveling. So there's so much you can do. And we just can't stress enough that right now, don't get fixated on, the economy is all gloom and doom. No, this is your perfect opportunity. Yes.
Buy a house, get on the ladder.
Exactly. And this is what, that's sort of my point, but I got carried away with the doominess. It's the best time to buy.
Yeah.
Interest rates are low, as you said. So, and there's lots of supply out there.
Cool. Sounds good. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And let's go on to the next one.
Cool. Thank you.
And that's a wrap on that Home Loan Hub. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me next time for more property tips and tricks. Your next smart move starts here.